Welcome to the KC and PC Fantasy Football Podcast. We're coming into week 9, coming in hot. And today's topic, we're going to get right into it. It is kickers. Do they matter? Or put another way, how highly should you value other men's feet?
Let me start by saying that toenails creep me out. I mean, why do you need a covering for the tips of your digits? It's not like anyone ever said, "Thank goodness for my toenails." All they do is grow, get fungal infections, and end up as clippings on your bathroom floor. Okay, I've said my piece. Let's keep going.
Well, I, for one, value a good kicker. Just look at last year. The difference between the best kicker and the very worst kicker, well, not the very worst, but the worst relevant one, was 6.7 points each week. That's 87 total points over the course of a fantasy season. If we put that in tight end terms, that's the difference between Gronk and Philadelphia's third string tight end last year. That's a huge difference.
In fact, the top kicker from last year outscored the top tight end and all but 4 wide receivers. So, if you have a stud kicker, you really have a leg up on the competition. Get it? Leg up.
That's terrible, PC. Just awful. But I agree. So why do so-called fantasy experts always advise drafting your kicker in the last round? Yes, it's true that, they're tougher to project than other positions, but if you get a good one, a consistent one, it's a huge, huge advantage. I mean, just look at Stephen Gostkowski. He's really the model of the consistent kicker over the past years. I mean, averaging around 9 points per game for like a decade straight. I mean, that's a steady flow of points you can just bank on every week. It helps as, of course, he's on one of the best teams in the league every year, but still, that's incredibly reliable production.
So should we start drafting kickers sooner? It's definitely food for thought, isn't it? Get it? Food for thought.
I've really changed my stance on this. I think it's a good idea to be one of the first 3 guys to take a kicker. You should always pick a proven one, on a team that has a really potent offense. There are, 5 or so of those probably in the league right now. And, some people believe that the Cardinals kicker will be the best because they'll always have to settle for 3 points and not get in the end zone as often. But, unfortunately for them, you have to get into field goal range first. And that's not going to happen on a bad offense all that often.
Wow, I can't believe you've changed your mind so much on this topic. That's no small feat. Get it? Small feat?
And I hate you. We wanted to take a moment to talk about one of our sponsors, H2OMG, your go-to for aquatic supplies. You may not be Michael Phelps or Aquaman, but who says you can't look like them? H2OMG is a local that sells everything you need for when you lose water-based bets, swim flippers, caps, and goggles. Plus, cutting-edge European swimwear featuring optic boost patterns that trick the eye into seeing more than is actually there. Trust me, it works. And the disappointment you feel when you remove your swimsuit fades almost instantly. Almost. Be sure to mention that you listen to the KC and PC Fantasy Football Podcast for a free dose of embarrassment with your purchase. And take it from me, when your friends see you at the next year's draft, they'll say, H2OMG. Welcome back to the KC and PC Fantasy Football Podcast. Please welcome to the program whose IQ would astound you and explain a lot at the same time. It is Steven Russell. Steve, how's it going there?
It's going great. Glad to be on the show.
Awesome. So we're just going to ask you a few questions here, get your hot takes on what's going on in the league, in the NFL, and in the G4L League. So, which of these terms would your significant other say is your go-to romancing move? These are all football related.
Okay, hit me with it.
Is it the naked bootleg, the flea flicker, the button hook, the end around, the fumble rooski, QB sneak, trick play, or touchback?
Touchback, for sure. For sure.
What does that entail exactly? Are you allowed to say that? Is that
from the large spoon position, I like to do various things.
Okay, various things. Good to know. And this is a hard-hitting question here. What is your favorite yard line?
The goal line, baby. Definitely the goal line.
Okay. Will there ever be a female coach in the NFL? If so, when do you think? Sooner or later? What?
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll have I think there wasn't there a linebackers coach, I think, at one point, that already was in the NFL as a head coach? Okay. Not a head coach, sorry, a linebackers coach. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's a team that's more likely than another to be progressive and do that type of thing?
I don't know. Maybe one of those Yankee states, they might do that.
For sure. Okay, this is kind of a trivia one, and kind of tough. Can you name the last 8 Super Bowl matchups?
8.
So 2018, this last year, who was it?
That was Eagles and Patriots. Mm-hmm. Year before that, I lost a bet for a bottle of Macallan 20 single malt. Cost me $400 because the Falcons fucking choked it. So I remember that one against the Patriots.
Okay.
Tom Brady GOAT.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, oh shit. Was that Seahawks Patriots?
Ooh, that was 2015. We're still looking for 2016. Oh. Yeah. 2015 was New England Seattle. Who was after New England Seattle in 2016? Any idea? Peyton was there.
Oh, that's right. That was Denver, Seattle.
That was 2014. That was the year before New England. That was Denver, Carolina was 2016. And then
that's right.
New England, Seattle was 2015. 2014 was Seattle, Denver. 2013. This one was...
Oh, hold on. Give me this one. I know this one. Give me a second. This was the Kaepernick? Was this the Kaepernick year? Niners, Ravens?
Yeah, there you go. Before that, 2012. You're doing good here so far. Only a couple more.
Niners, Ravens, year before that. Who won a Super Bowl before Flacco did? Oh, I don't know. I'm lost.
Eli won it.
Eli. That was the Eli New England game.
And then last one, 2011. Who won it?
Got nothing.
February 2011. It was in Dallas. The Super Bowl was.
Oh, that was Packers Steelers, wasn't it?
There you go. Okay, good job. That's pretty impressive. You did good. And then final question here. I was just gonna ask about your waiver wire strategy. You're a waiver wire hawk for sure. So, do you always pick someone up? You wait until the top of the list, or a big injury happens, or what? What's your? I mean, not that you need to give away your secrets, but
I'll tell you. I don't mind. So I like to wait a little bit in the beginning of the season, unless I think there's just a clear-cut stud that is going to be there. And if so, then I'll go for it. If there's not a clear-cut stud, I'll wait a little bit. But here's where it gets a little bit different. Once I use it, I don't try to build back up to the top. I basically put in 4 or 5 hypothetical waivers at the bottom of the sheet. So basically, I'll stack it. So I'll say, I want this guy first. If he's not there, then I want this guy. If he's not there, then I want this guy. If he's not there, then I want this guy. So I basically stack the deck probably about 4 or 5 waivers deep. So the thought being is that I want to punish the people that don't use their waiver, that try to effectively stack up and try to pick up in free agency. So I really kind of work the bottom of the waiver ranking though than anything else.
Okay.
And on top of that, here's where the dedication comes in. First thing in the morning when you wake up, waivers process at 4 in the morning. So how dedicated are you? How much do you really want that first pick of the free agent list? Right? Do you really want to win your league, or do you want to be a chump?
It's true. Okay. And is it mostly running backs and wide receivers that you're going after, or is it just kind of vary week to week?
It varies week to week, but I generally find that the wide receiver pool is the deepest.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. All right, Steve, thank you so much for joining us here, and we hope that you do good this year, and just hopefully not against me.
Thanks, Kevin.
Today's last segment, I wanted to talk about kickers and how stressful their jobs are, because kickers are put in difficult positions. Ones that are hard for us to imagine. They only get a few opportunities, really, just a few seconds, to influence a football game. And fail or succeed, they impact the game in a huge way every time. It must be incredibly stressful. The question is, how stressful, really? I mean, is it crazy stressful, low stress, what? So, I read a few articles that list the most stressful jobs. A few of these are firefighters, police officers, military personnel, paramedics, and airline pilots. They all deal with life or death situations every day, and that's clearly a far cry from a man using his foot a couple times each week to kick a ball through yellow posts, but I still wonder if kickers belong in the discussion. At least in the second tier of most stressful occupations. So here are a few factors that most of those articles use to evaluate stress levels and how kickers relate to those. So travel, this is a major stressor. Kickers fly from city to city week after week, so yeah, they're traveling. Next is career growth potential. There's none for kickers. If you fail, you could be out of a job instantly. If you succeed, you have your job for at least another week. Next, physical demands. That's up there on the list of stressful items. And physical demands, clearly for a kicker, it requires a brief instance of near physical perfection. So that could be pretty stressful. And then there are environmental conditions. So when we think about the environment that a kicker's in, opposing fans are cheering when you fail, and your own fans hate you when you do fail. So that's a very stressful environment. And then hazards encountered. So what hazards are kickers worried about? Well, large men particularly running at you and jumping in your face, which would be stressful and startling to any of us. And then another stressor is meeting the public. And kickers have to do this almost daily. So press conferences and talking with the media after you miss a game winner could be a little uncomfortable, a little stressful. And competition is another stressor. And yeah, there's lots of competition for kickers. If you miss too much, there's always another kicker ready to take your place. Another stressor is risk of death or grievous injury. Okay, probably not, but hey, you could get run over by those giant men again. Another stressor is immediate risk of another's life. No, kickers aren't, they don't have someone else's life in their hands. You thought I might stretch that one, but no, I'm not going to. Deadlines. Stressful deadlines. Well, kickers have 4 quarters to succeed. The play clock ticks down from 40 seconds on each play that they're in, and sometimes you're involved in the last play of the game. So yeah, you got some deadlines as a kicker, and you got to meet them. Otherwise, you're going to get penalized or lose the game. And then working in the public eye. And obviously, kickers work in the public eye, which could be very stressful. They're on national TV, and tens of thousands, even millions of fans are watching them every week. So there's no doubt that kickers fight their bodies too, from tension to sweating to dry mouth to dramatic swings in heart rate. All very, very stressful things. And so kickers, they're stressed, but they're not heart surgeons. I would argue, though, that kicker is probably the most stressful football position. Quarterback probably being second. So there you go. Kickers are stressed out, way too stressed out. Sorry, kickers.